Welcome to Brilliantly British. My name is Lawrence and today I'm going to be sharing with you a recipe for my favorite dessert treat, Yum Yums. So as I show you how to make these fantastic pastries, please sit back, relax with a cup of tea in hand, putting your feet up to, and enjoy this episode. And don't forget to subscribe. Previously on the channel, we've revised and remastered some Greggs bakery classics, elevating these much loved British staples to new heights. In this episode, we'll be taking on one of the UK's favourite treats, namely Yum Yums, with our recipe yielding fluffier, more buttery and flavoursome Yum Yums than any you'll find in Greggs. So now, after having sparked your interest, please sit back, relax, and allow me to introduce the ingredients to you. For today's Brilliantly British Yum Yums, you will need some yeast, some nutmeg, some icing sugar, some butter, ideally homemade Brilliantly British butter, caster sugar, some full fat milk, some white bread flour, some eggs, and a little pinch or two of salt, and a lovely pot of oil if you don't have a deep fat fryer. That's it for the making of today's Brilliantly British Yum Yums. But before you get started, please, before you do anything at all, switch on your kettle, brew yourself a nice cup of hot tea so that you can sip on that whilst you cook. To begin making a batch of Yum Yums, gently warm up your milk, ensuring for the yeast's sake that its temperature never exceeds 37 degrees C. Afterwards, turn in sugar, your yeast, and rehydrate whilst stirring. Once the sugar and the yeast have dissolved, place your bowl or jug to one side, allowing the yeast to awaken and bloom. In the meantime, into your bowl of flour, grate in fresh nutmeg, followed by a dash or two of salt. Mix well, and then place to one side. 10 to 15 minutes later, your yeast-milk mixture should have become frothy and aromatic, evidence of the yeast's suitability. And at this point, crack in your eggs, homogenize, and then slowly trickle in melted butter whilst whisking constantly. Having prepared all dry and wet dough components into a large bowl, turn in your seasoned flour, and then, with the recommended end of a wooden spoon, incrementally pour and mix in your wet dough components, adding more once incorporated. The result should be a loose and rich dough which will need to be vigorously whipped for 10 minutes, an ample workout for your strongest arm, but I assure you the efforts made will be 100% worth it. After 10 minutes of beating, the dough should have become elastic and free from lumps, at which point I'd say take a breather, enjoy a sip of tea, and then, without wasting too much time, strip your utensils of dough before transferring to a bowl small enough to fit into your fridge and large enough to contain the dough once it has doubled in size. With that done, cover your bowl with a cold, soaked kitchen towel before placing your bowl in your fridge for at least 12 hours and up to 24 hours. Now 12 hours is a long time. So long that we recommend searching for your next Brilliantly British recipe on the channel. Of course, with a cup of tea. Not forgetting to leave a comment or two, liking and subscribing. Thank you. Welcome back. For the final and second day of this recipe, on a spacious and heavily floured work surface, prise out your chilled dough before rolling out to a rough 5mm thick rectangle, which you'll want to initially letter fold, generating 3 layers. Ensuring that the dough is well floured as it's prone to sticking, roll the dough out once more, this time around double book folding thereafter, generating 12 layers. You'll then want to repeat the first and second folding steps, which will yield a 144 layer laminated dough, which will give your Yum Yums their distinct texture. After having completed the 4 lamination steps, roll the dough out into a 30 by 15 centimeter rectangle. Divide in half, then divide each half either into 5 or 6 strips for more slender Yum Yums. Immediately after slicing on a wide and shallow baking sheet, lined with grease-proof paper. Double twist your yum yum strips before laying them at least 2 centimeters apart on your trays. Once shaped and laid, proof in a warm, draft-free environment, for instance, a switched-off oven, to humidify and warm up the environment within. Whilst you wait, it goes without saying that a deserved tea break will be in order, accompanied by an episode or two from the channel, remembering as always to like and subscribe. Once proofing is almost at an end, begin heating up your pot of oil, as well as preparing a large wire-racked baking tray in preparation for frying. With the yum yums having doubled in size, carefully separate them on the sections of paper, taking care not to deflate them. With that taken care of, weigh out icing sugar, and to it add cold water, mixing well until you end up with a smooth yet loose paste. With the oil at the perfect temperature, carefully lower your yum yums into the hot oil, gently peeling the paper away soon after. If cut into 10 strips, fry for 3 minutes on each side, and if cut into 12, fry for 2 minutes on each side. Once cooked on both sides, gently remove and relocate to your wire rack before beginning to cook another batch. With another batch of yum yums frying, I'll gently glaze the freshly cooked pear with my sugar paste on both sides before turning my attention back to the ones cooking. Simply repeat the aforementioned frying and glazing steps, making sure to maintain the temperature of the oil as you progress. After the final 2 were fried and glazed, I allowed the batch to cool to a warm temperature before admiring the work of my hands. And it was at that moment I had a thought. With a fresh batch made and a cup of tea within reach, I thought it was time for tasting. All right, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh my God. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is my favorite treat, dessert, snack, whatever you want to call it. This is amazing. I love how simple it is in terms of the flavors, the textures. They are light, fluffy, spongy. They've got a bit of a subtle crisp crust to them on the outside because of the icing sugar that's now hardened. They're just amazing. You can pretty much use the same dough for donuts, but for me, this just hits the nail on the head. This hits the spot. This hits the mark. This is all for me that a snack, a treat of this kind should be. It's fantastic and it's so simple to make and yet so rewarding. Look, without saying any more, without much further ado, please go out, get the ingredients, make a batch of yum yums, because I assure you, I promise you, you will not regret it. Make these yum yums, please. Thank you all for allowing me to show you how to make a delicious batch of irresistible yum yums. Knowing that you loved this episode, please don't forget to click on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button so that you don't miss any of our new releases. Tell everyone you know about the Brilliantly British food on this channel, and follow us on all of the social media platforms that this channel is on, and I will see you next time.